Okay, well, thank you very much. I am so excited to be here with you guys today and just super excited to be kicking off this afternoon with you. I think I'm even more excited for after my talk and getting more into the afternoon just because of what Julian talked about, this holistic approach that we're going to take today from the mind, the body, the spirit, and the soul. And I'm just really excited to see this all come to life and together. So a little bit more about me. I am a sports psychology and performance consultant. If I can summarize what I do for you in one statement, it's helping people like you, athletes, be and become the very best that they can be. That's really what I'm all about. I'm the mental performance coach for the Arizona Coyotes in the NHL. I am a new project for me is going to be the mental performance coach for the Chinese men's and women's national team for the Beijing 2022 Olympics. I run a company called Heads Up High Performance. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, so that's just a little bit about me in a nutshell. So let's kick it off today. My perspective, I come to you guys from a perspective of the mind, and I'm here to talk about coping with the pressures of leadership and foundership and its sustainability. But before I get into that, I actually just want to start with a little bit of a story that I wanted to share with you. I'm going to take you guys back a lot of years. I'm not going to tell you how many because that's going to date me. But I want to take you back for a walk down memory lane with me to a time where I was 5 years old. And it was my very first day of school. And I was going to grade 1, and I remember being all excited, and I got all dressed and ready to go to school. A little bit nervous, too, as I got in the car with my mom. And she drove me to school, and she took my hand, and she told me that this was going to be like one of the first new days of my life as I walked into the school. The butterflies kind of came up a bit, but as I walked into the doors of the school, I'll never forget seeing a little girl standing there with the exact same bright red lunchbox that I had. And it was an instant connection, and I made my first friend at school. We moved on into the classroom, and we sat down, and I got settled into my desk. And the teacher said that we were going to go around the room and everybody was going to say their name. And then came the big question. She wanted everybody to say what they wanted to be when they grew up. And immediately I was excited because I knew my answer and I was confident and I was actually anxiously awaiting my turn. And we went around the room and it got to me and I stood up proudly and confidently and I said I wanted to be in the NHL. And the whole room laughed at me. And I remember it was such a deflating moment. My heart literally sank into my shoes. And people laughed and they kind of chuckled and they're like, well, you can't be in the NHL. You're a girl. Girls can't be in the NHL. Anyways, you know, through that moment, I remember after I got over the embarrassment and the humiliation that I felt in that moment, I remember I couldn't really get it out of my head. And it's probably one of my very first, most distinctive memories that I have had in my life. But I kept thinking to myself, like, why can these people tell me who or what I can or cannot be? And I didn't really know it at the time, but looking back, I think it was really a defining moment for me in that I kind of forged through life thinking I'm never really going to allow anybody to tell me who or what I could become. And so now fast forward to today, as you guys know, I am in the NHL. I just found a different way to get there. And you know, I was also the very first woman to sit on the NHL draft floor with among 500 stereotypical hockey men and me. But again, I think it was really a defining moment for me. And so that's something that I want to be able to share with you guys today because the truth is that leadership is difficult and breaking boundaries and barriers is hard. But it's supposed to be hard. It comes with a lot of pressure as well. Listen, the reality is if it was easy, everybody would do it. So I want to be able to share with you how I kind of cope with all the pressures, and if I can do it, you can too. So that's really what I'm here to talk with you guys about. So I want to start off, let's talk pressure a little bit, because that's what I'm talking about. I want you just all to think about maybe the pressures that you guys feel in day-to-day life doing whatever it is that you do. And I'd actually like you all to close your eyes for a minute. And I want you just to think about doing what you do, some of the stressors, some of the pressures that you might feel in day-to-day life. And I always like to shake things up a bit. So I actually want to go a little extreme, and I want you to imagine for a moment that in this nice, peaceful learning space, someone was actually to bust in here right now and hold us all at gunpoint. And I want you to think about what that might feel like. Scared, nervous, freaking out. And I want you to picture, what does scared and nervous feel like in your body? Is your heart racing? Are you sweaty? Are you panicked? Are you shaky? Would your mind be racing? Would you be tight? Would you be tense? And now open your eyes. I'm obviously exaggerating. Nobody's coming in here with a gun to our head. But to a lesser degree, those tend to be some of the same feelings that we feel on day-to-day life as we push things and try to create in our world. You guys ever feel any of that? Day-to-day decision making, fears of it not working out, what's going to happen, rejection, leading people, what am I going to do, how am I going to go, it doesn't work, failure, all of that stuff. But that is the reality of what it means to be a leader and what it means to innovate. So here's the problem. When we take on and carry all those pressures in day-to-day life, we kind of move ourselves out of high performance mode and into panic mode, and we are never ever going to be able to be the best that we can be or perform at that level, because we start to be trapped by our fears, and then they hold us back from moving forward and doing what we want to do. So, do we all want to walk through life and leadership with a gun to our head? The answer is no. I call this the pressure gun, right? The day-to-day pressures that we take, it's kind of like having a gun to your head, right? Like, oh no, what's going to happen? What did I do here? What decision am I going to make? What if this doesn't work out? Those are all the guns that we hold to our own head. So I want to teach you all today how we are going to put those guns down. And for me, it's all about, I talk about the mind, and I always feel that the body tends to go where the mind flows. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how powerful the mind-body connection is. That's what I'm all about. So we're going to try something together. I always like to shake it up, so I'm going to get everybody stand up for a second. And I want everybody to hold up 2 guns. I might step in the circle. Okay, so everybody's got 2 guns. Do we want to walk through this world with a gun to our head? Absolutely not. So we're going to learn how to put the guns down, okay? So everybody follow me. No more guns, right? So I want everybody to pull in a trigger finger and then put down your thumb on the other hand. So we'll see if you guys are all with me on this. Okay, no more guns, right? We're good? Everybody's good. You guys look good. Here's the tricky part, though. When I count to 3, what we're going to do is flip our fingers. Wait, I said 3. I already see people cheating here. Hang on. Okay? Wow, you guys look like you're thinking like really hard. If I could jump inside your head. Okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3, flip. You got a gun. Not bad, not bad. Ah, okay. You got a gun over here. The guns, you got guns. Like, check it out. Gun. Okay, good. Keep going. Play with it for a bit. See if you can do it. Struggling, hey? We're struggling. It's a little harder than it looks, right? Julian, I don't know how you're doing pretty good at that. Oh, that's why. Okay, I'm like, how are you doing that? Okay, so I don't know. Okay, you guys are struggling, yes? Okay, sit down. How come I can do it? Why is everybody in this room having such a hard time with it? And yet for me, it's easy for me. Anybody have any thoughts or ideas? Yeah, I practice a lot. When I first was asked to do it, I literally was like paralyzed. I was like, I give you guys all for A for effort because you're already way better than I was. I was like, what are you talking about? I looked around the room when I asked you to do it, right? You guys were all good with me till this point. When I asked you to flip, I watched a lot of your eyes kind of went like, what is she talking about? You immediately went up here. Why? Because this has to figure out what it is I'm telling you to send a message to your body in order for your body to execute. Okay, now why is it difficult for you? You've never done it before, right? So you've not established that mind-body connection. I've practiced it hundreds and thousands of times, and now I don't have to look anymore. It's easy for me, right? You guys were like thinking really hard, looking at your hands, you Notice you have a gun, think again, figure it out, make the adjustment. It's all about the mind-body connection. The mind absolutely is like sending your body the message. The body's going to go wherever your mind flows and takes it to. Okay? So really I have 3 messages for you in this little fun thing. It is all about the mind-body connection for me. Number 2, the more you do anything, the better it becomes. And number 3 is we all together need to learn how to put those guns down so that we can be and become the very best that we can be and have the ability to live our greatest lives. So I talk about this mind, kind of leading the body. I want to show you a little bit about how that works, okay? I actually want to see if I could get one very, very brave volunteer to stand up here in the middle of the room with me and recite a very, very difficult Shakespearean poem. Is anybody going to do it? Wow, okay, good for you. Okay, excellent, thank you. So before we get into that, I had one volunteer, by the way. When I looked around the room, a lot of your eyes kind of went to the floor like, oh God, she better not look at me because I do not want to go in there. Is that fair to say? We got a good amount of people in this room, and only one person volunteered. Now, I thank you for your courage and bravery. I'm not going to make you do it, but I will give you a little prize for doing it. So, come on up here. Thank you for being fearless. It's the name of my book, and offering to do it. Can I ask you, what though were you thinking? Because nobody in this room volunteered, but I asked you to do something obviously difficult. What went through your head?
I feel like that's how I've trained my mind. If it's uncomfortable, jump for it, go for it.
Right.
But I did wait to see if there was anyone else, and then if there was anyone else, then I do it.
Okay. So you raise a good point, right? I trained my mind. Nothing really grows, you guys, in a comfort zone, right? When we stay safe and comfortable, it's nice there, but we don't grow there. So you thought, okay, well, I've trained my mind. I got to step out of my comfort zone was a thought. Another thought was, I'm going to see nobody else is doing it, so I don't want this to be uncomfortable. Maybe I'm going to stand up and do it. So our mind leads the body, right? Our thoughts, for me, create how we feel. And then they're going to result in how we behave. And then there's consequences to that, good or bad, right? So we have thinking, feelings, behaviors and actions, and consequences. Your thinking was, I'm going to step out of my comfort zone. That's how I grow. Nobody else is doing it. So you're feeling okay, right? Her actions and behaviors, she's the only one to put her hand up. You just want a free book. The rest of you guys, what were you thinking? What was everybody thinking? You looked right down, like you looked away from me, like I'm not looking at her. What were you thinking?
I was actually thinking that my gut instinct would be to do it, and I didn't want to be the center of attention.
Okay, so you guys, I promise you, without knowing it, each and every one of you in this room had a thought, right? Our thoughts are subconscious. Do you know that we have between 50,000 and 80,000 thoughts go through our head in one day? Now multiply that by how many days you've been alive for. You've got hundreds and millions of thinking patterns. And so when we walk through life and our sort of subconscious mind tends to take over, and we jump back onto the same thinking patterns that we've repeated over and over and over and over again in our life without really being aware of them. But the first thing we connect to is how we feel. That's when we tend to be a bit more conscious, right? I'm anxious, I'm nervous, I'm happy, I'm scared. I know how I feel, and then I act on how I feel. So I want to do this, but I don't want to be the center of attention. That's the thought. The feeling is I might feel a little shy or uncomfortable. And then what's the behavior? You kept your hand down, right? Anybody else? What do you guys, let's get to this side of the room. What did you think over there? White t-shirt over there.
Me?
Yeah.
I flashbacks to grade 9.
Yeah?
Rehearsing Shakespeare.
Ah, wow.
I actually thought of Canterbury Tales, which isn't Shakespeare, it's speaking Old English.
Yeah.
I literally couldn't say anything. I froze on the spot. It's like, I don't want to redo that.
Right. So see, like then our experiences, right? I don't want to do that. I don't want to go there. And so we start to feel bad, and then what do? We keep our hand down, right? Every one of you had a thought. Your thoughts are driving what you do. But you all just missed out on an opportunity, right? And so I want you to think a little bit in life how your thinking and your fears stop you from really breaking those barriers and living your greatest life. The truth is, right, to lead, to try new things, to achieve any form of greatness in your life, it's hard. It's supposed to be hard. It's breaking new ground, new territory where maybe you haven't walked before. And we're subconsciously like wired to just go back to what's familiar or to comfort. But the reality is nothing grows there. So I just want you all to be aware of that and how powerful your thinking is in driving what you do. So start to pay attention a little bit to your self-talk and to the fears that sort of get in the way of doing what you do, okay? So now I want to move into giving you sort of my strategies and sharing with you how did I do it? How did I sort of break these barriers and enter new ground and new territory? And I'm going to give you my keys to coping with all the pressures that leadership has around it. And I'm going to really summarize it into 4 keys for you. And I'm going with the theme. I always like to make my messages sticky so that, it sticks and you guys can remember little things that I talk about. I'm going to go with the theme of F, the letter F today, just in honor of International Women's Day. F for female, and I mean, it's generic what I'm sharing, but I went with the theme of F. So, my very first key, how do I do it? How I do it is literally the title of my book, To Be Fearless. To develop a fearless mindset, okay? Because I really do believe fear is the biggest barrier to success, whatever the fear is, whether it's fear of failure, right? Fear of what people will think, fear of being the center of attention, fear of not getting to where I want to be. Whatever your fears are, they're going to just hold you into that comfort place, and it's really hard to break free. Now, don't get me wrong, you guys. Fear is a normal human emotion. So when I say fearless, a fearless mindset to me is not about the absence of fear, because we're all going to be afraid. And I'm going to tell you guys, through my journey, I have tried, I have failed, I have been lied to, I have been treated poorly, I've dusted myself off, I've picked myself up again, and then all to repeat the same cycle. I've fallen, I've failed, figured it out, picked myself up, continue to move on. It really is the process of leadership and innovating and growing. So to develop that fearless mindset, really what I've learned to do is to be able to say, I'm afraid, and I can do it anyways. And so that's the type of mindset that you need to work on. What's your name? Nicole, who volunteered, was exactly the type of mindset is I'm going to get out of my comfort zone. That's where I'm going to grow. Whatever happens, happens, and I'm just going to be afraid and do it anyways. So that's number 1, F, fearless mindset. That's how I do it. Number 2, I want to talk a little bit about how do I sustain that. And how I sustain that mindset, because it is tough and scary and difficult. How do I sustain it? I sustain it by failing, by using my failures. Failure for me has just become an opportunity. Every failure is a chance to grow and learn. Don't get me wrong, it hurts for me just as much as it hurts for everybody else, okay? But I know that nothing grows there. How much time? 1 minute. 1 minute? Oh, geez. Okay. Okay, so I didn't see you at all. So nothing grows there. So here's my little strategy is to fail forward. Okay, I use that little tagline, where's my opportunity, where's my growth? The next piece is now how do I continue to grow it, to innovate? And my F for that is just figure it out. I just trust in myself to figure it out. That whatever I'm thrown at, if I believe in myself and I do the work and I talk to people and I get the support and I learn, for example, like opportunities like this, I will figure it out. And that's what I do. And then my final F, just because I'm going to throw it out there and shake things up a little bit, pardon my language, sometimes you just got to say fuck it. And just go for it, right? The reality is, pressure for me, it's just an illusion. It's not real. We create the pressure by our perception of it, right? The way we think about situations. So I just want to reframe all that pressure for you and throw you out my final tagline for the day, which is how I look at pressure now, is pressure is just a privilege. If I'm actually in a high pressure moment, wow, how grateful I am. The very first day I walked into that NHL room and everybody looked at me like, what is she doing here? What a privilege and honor it is to have to feel this and stand here in front of you, and I trust and believe in myself that I'm going to figure it out. And whatever happens, I'll fail forward and I'll keep growing. And that's how I do what I do, and if I can do it, absolutely so can you.